The VRA ruling already got its first test run there, we should tell you. Governor Bill Lee signed a new congressional map into law yesterday that slices Memphis and Shelby County into 3 separate districts, blows apart the seat of Representative Steve Cohen, Tennessee's last House Democrat, scatters Black voters, about 2/3 of Memphis they are, across neighboring districts. So you see the headlines, this is what's happening there. As Cenk said, it's happening other places, and it's gonna keep happening. This is the first map drawn anywhere in the country since the Supreme Court weakened the Voting Rights Act. Tennessee Republicans didn't even try to hide their intent here either. State Representative Jason Zachary, Knoxville Republican, took to the floor to admit exactly what it is. And he says, it was absolutely drafted on politics. We're taking advantage of that as the super majority in this body. Now they're saying it was politics, not race, because the Supreme Court has made it clear that it will not block maps drawn purely for partisan gain. That's the loophole. They drove a truck through it, if you will. The vote exploded into chaos in the State House, demonstrators drowning out the tally with noisemakers, alarms, shouting, "Hands off Memphis." At least one Republican lawmaker walked through the protesters with a Trump flag draped over his shoulders like a cape, like he was headed into a heavyweight boxing match. State Senator Charlene Oliver, Nashville Democrat, stood on her desk before the vote holding a banner that read, "No Jim Crow 2." So that's what they're doing. Representative Antonio Parkinson, Memphis Democrat, put it this way: perhaps the legislature should explain why Memphis should continue to be part of the state of Tennessee. You're constantly beating on us. Allow us out. Voting rights experts say the map would have never survived under the old VRA. David Becker of the Nonpartisan Center for Election Innovation and Research said the court almost seems to invite it now. And Tennessee is not alone. Louisiana, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, they're either redrawing or signaling that they will soon. NAACP Tennessee State Conference filed a lawsuit against the map Thursday evening, Cenk. But the big picture, one court ruling in Virginia, one governor's signature in Tennessee yesterday. The fight for the House looks completely different than it did 48 hours ago, and after so much that's happened in the run up to these midterms.
Yeah, so cities vote on legislation, and then states come in to the point that Memphis is making and go, well, you're in a red state, so we don't really care about your local rule. But wait a minute, I thought the conservatives cared most about local rule. Don't have big government come in and overrule the local citizens. They're like, yeah, we were lying. So anytime a city, a blue city in a red state passes a law, we're just gonna overrule it. And we're gonna say you're not allowed to do it, okay? So we're gonna rob you of your democracy that way. And then on top of that, you pass a ballot measure like it happened in Virginia, where our dirty courts are gonna come in and our dirty right-wing justices are gonna just cheat. And by the way, if you're saying, well, I mean, 1902 law, but it is a law. No, they don't apply it in any other case. Nothing else has ever been overturned because of that 1902 law about nailing the bill to the door. It's just an obvious BS excuse to lie and cheat on behalf of the Republicans. So then, okay, ballot measures, that's actual voters. Shut up, voters. You have no voice at all. Only the powerful can win, and the Republicans are dirtier and they're more crooked. So power is going to lean towards the more corrupt. So then they wind up having an advantage. So now, on the Voting Rights Act and what the Supreme Court did, I need you to understand this. The Voting Rights Act was supposed to protect from what they used to do in the South in the old days. So everyone acknowledges, we're not talking about today, we're talking about 1950s, 60s, let alone before that, terrible throughout. And they would say, okay, well, theoretically you have democracy, but we're gonna split up the black voters, we're gonna sprinkle them throughout the state like Salt Bay, so that they don't affect any single district. They can't run their own lives, they can't run their own district. So the Voting Rights Act said you can't do that, that's discrimination based on race. And you have to factor race in to make sure that they are not discriminated against. So now the new Supreme Court comes in today and goes, you have to consider race a lot less. And because it's a political issue, we're not gonna overrule these state legislatures who redistrict based on politics. So politics is, I don't care if you're black or white, I just want to win these races, right? And the way that I'm going to win those races in Tennessee is I'm going to go back to the exact thing we used to do under Jim Crow when we were oppressing black people in the South, and I'm going to sprinkle the black voters throughout the state so they're dispersed and have no power and no district and no representation. Exactly what the Voting Rights Act was enacted to prevent, and our Supreme Court, 6-3 Republican appointed justices go, oh, you'd like to do racial discrimination and take away their rights? Booyah! Yeah, of course. Oh, it's a political issue. You don't worry about race. You just gerrymander any way you like, redistrict any way you like. You want to do it for your own advantage, political advantage? Great, do it for your political. That's why that state rep in Tennessee is like, hey, we're doing it for political advantage. The Supreme Court said we could cheat, so we're cheating. Now, if you say the Supreme Court could argue that it's a political question how they redistrict the seats, yes, but you know what else? It is something that they could adjudicate on, ending gerrymandering entirely, because it takes away our most core constitutional right, the vote. Our votes become entirely irrelevant in gerrymandered districts. They are gerrymandered so that the other side cannot possibly win. And again, that applies in blue states too, where Republicans have no chance of winning because of gerrymandering. Same thing in the red states. But the Supreme Court says, oh yeah, that's true. That takes away the #1 most fundamental right of Americans. And they're like, yes, that way only the powerful can rule and you'll have no democracy in America. That's our disgusting, corrupt Supreme Court. The same guys who said Citizens United, unlimited money so that corporations and foreign governments can bribe all of your politicians and buy them off so that ExxonMobil and Pfizer and Israel can rule us all. So we're screwed, Sharon, totally screwed until we have a complete overhaul, a political revolution where both Democratic and Republican voters go, I've had enough of this garbage and I'd like to represent myself again. I love America and I hate this corruption, and we're gonna get the country back and we're gonna have real votes and a real democracy. Until we do that, all we're gonna have is disgusting corruption as far as the eye can see. And the people who killed our democracy wasn't Donald Trump or Joe Biden. It was the entire political system and our entire mainstream media who murdered our democracy right in front of our eyes and then snicker about it and tell us, oh, that sounds conspiratorial. Now the donors rule everything. We have nothing left in this country because of these people. So yeah, Republicans, enjoy your wins in Tennessee for as long as they last. But remember, if you're a Republican voter, they aren't your wins at all. Those politicians aren't representing you. All across the country, they're representing Israel, big pharma, defense contractors, because they're getting paid by them. They're screwing all of us, no matter what our beliefs are. They don't give a damn about our beliefs. They built an entire system based on corruption, and the media's job is to blind you so you can't see it. Well, I see it, Sharon sees it, we all see it at TYT. And we're gonna wake the whole country up until you all see it and you revolt against the corrupt. Okay, I'm sorry, I got.
No, keep going. It's the layers. It's the layers.
Yeah.
How can we ever unpack this?
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.